Andy Murray mania strikes Wimbledon. Novak Djokovic playing like a robot who is focused on destroying all opponents in his path of the Wimbledon title. Roger Federer, not very convincing to a lot of Fed fans, but I'm optimistic about it. I'll tell you why later. And of course, Mannarino goes down. Maybe you don't think Roger comes through in the fifth set. I think he showed enough good things in the fourth set to feel like he would have won. But Mannarino goes down. Then Serena goes down, and then mass hysteria strikes Wimbledon. I'm hearing crazy stuff, even from people like Chris Evert, who should know better, that maybe they should fix the grass. Maybe they should change the grass. And maybe, this is the craziest one of all, although Chris McKendry will give the professor, what is this, tennis professor? Put this guy on the screen. From Twitter, Chris McKendry would give the tennis professor a run for his money, but here goes the dumbest one. Tennis professor says, for being a professor, he sure doesn't know much. Will grass court tennis be here in 50 years? Not sure it should be. Not sure they should be. What is that? That's grammatically incorrect, Mr. Professor. You're a terrible professor. All these great athletes risking injury is just so hard to watch. Well, I certainly hope that grass court tennis is still here in 50 years. And as Roger Federer said it himself, it's the same as it ever was. Take a listen.
Well, as I was walking out, the referee asked me how I was feeling about the court. And I said, I think the court plays normal, you know, as we know it. I do feel it feels a tad more slippery maybe under the roof. I don't know if it's just a gut feeling, and you do have to move very, very carefully out there. And if you push too hard in the wrong moments, you do go down, you know. So I do feel it's drier during the day. There's got to be, you know, with the wind and all that stuff, it takes the moist out of the grass. But this is obviously terrible. I don't think it plays very different, but again, I'm also moving carefully, you know, and this is what I told the team as well. It's they thought I moved very well, and you know, under the circumstances, those first two matches are always extremely difficult, but it's always been like this, and I feel like for a lot of players, it's super key to get through those first two rounds because the grass is more slippery, it is more soft, and then as the tournament progresses, usually gets harder and easier to move on. But this is obviously terrible that it's back-to-back matches and it hits Serena as well. Oh my God, I can't believe it.
The court plays normal as we're used to seeing it here. You have to move carefully. Yes, we know that. That's the thing about grass. That's why every year when I do these draw shows for Wimbledon, I talk about how the younger, more inexperienced players are probably going to slip and fall a lot. It can happen to anyone. Just ask Novak Djokovic. He's just the best at slipping and falling and you know, not getting hurt, getting up and still winning points. I think today there was one time Djokovic fell over and still... Didn't he do that on clay earlier this year, too? He falls over on the ground and manages to put the ball back in play. Probably won the point. If you push too hard, you do go down. That was probably the best part from what you heard from Roger Federer. I'm moving carefully, especially in the first couple of matches. It's always like this. Let me tell you what it's like if you've never played tennis before. Imagine you're in a car. Imagine you're on the road, and imagine the road is wet. If you are stopped, right, it's stopping and starting where the slipping and falling happens at Wimbledon. If you're a car, by the way, me and Mr. Goat found this perfectly good statue of a human head to put Federer hats on during Wimbledon in the dumpster outside of the tennis store where we were looking for extra cans of tennis balls and RF hats, you know, whatever they throw out that they're not using. So I just wanted to point out that we have this new statue here, so that's pretty cool. That's a new thing at the show. Anyways, imagine you're in a car. Here, I don't have my Unibro Federer Bro wristband on, so let's pretend this is a car. You're not moving at all. If the road is wet and you hit the gas full speed, like Roger said, if you push too hard, because when you stop and start in tennis, you're pushing the ground with your feet. The rest of your body is taking over and moving you around. It's like pushing the gas pedal for those of you like Chris McKendry out there who have never played tennis before. So you're in the car, you push the gas pedal. If you push it really hard, if you push it too hard, you'll go, and you'll slide all over the place, right? You'll explode over there, right? Hopefully not. Hopefully not. You'll just have a normal, minor car accident, hopefully. if you go slower, you will be just fine. I'm sure everyone has driven a car in the rain. Have you driven a car in the grass? Me and Pete Freeman from Crunch Time Coaching, we're going back to Cincinnati this year, baby. It's back. The Masters Tennis Clinic in Cincinnati, which coincides during the Masters 1000 tournament. So we get to see tennis, and there's world-class instruction from Peter Freeman. And hey, I'm there too. Anyways, I remember one of my favorite memories was when it rained and our friend got stuck in the grass because his tires kept spinning in the wet grass and he couldn't get out. Eventually, he tried to gas it so much that he just dug a hole in the grass and his car got stuck. And me and Pete were giggling all the way because we had an Uber coming on the road to get us out of Cincy. That one day it rained really, really bad. So it's like that with the tennis. That's what it's like. Everyone knows this. It's just tricky. You have to execute. As Roger Federer said, you have to move very carefully. Chris Evert should be ashamed of herself for recommending that they take blowers out there, blowers of hot air, and just blow the grass to get it dry enough because she was so upset that Serena went down. I am devastated for Serena, by the way. I am absolutely devastated. This was a huge chance for her to win another major. Wimbledon is her place. She's been in the final, I believe, the last 3 or 4 times in a row that she's played at Wimbledon. It is devastating. It's very sad. I'm very sad for Serena. But with that said, Chris Evert is so big a Serena fan, she's supposed to be an impartial commentator for ESPN for tennis. You know, it's a little different here at Coffee Break Tennis. We let everyone know that there's a slight Federer bias to everything we do. Other than that, we try to be very honest with you. That's why we're so accurate on the picks in the draw. Somebody said they didn't agree with 70% of my picks. Well, what do you know? 69% of my picks were right. So that guy is 31% right, meaning he's 69% wrong. Anyways, we try to be very honest here and unbiased. Chris Evert is not doing a good job. That's why she recommended that they take blowers out and blow the grass until it's completely dry to make sure that Serena never slips and falls and gets injured at Wimbledon again. Do you know what would happen if you did that, Chris Evert? You would kill all of the grass! And I like Chris. My grandmother likes Chris Evert a lot. So I like her, you know, too. Welcome to Coffee Break Tennis. Today we don't have coffee. It's too late for coffee. We got Topo Chico in honor of Mexico, one of my favorite beverages from Mexico. Not a lot of Mexican players at Wimbledon. In fact, I don't think there are any this year. So we'll remember them with, actually, I just came up with that off the top of my head. I like Topo Chico. Today's beverage is Topo Chico. Today's show is exciting. You are here at the most watched and talked about tennis YouTube show in El Mundo. Coffee Break Tennis. I am your host, Matt Bradshaw, the all-seeing tennis eye, the highest IQ in the Southeast United States. Not IQ, tennis IQ, I mean. Regular IQ, I'm up there. I'm in the 60th percentile, maybe. Like my tennis picks. Somewhere in there between 60 and 70. On today's show, we'll go through stats. What do Djokovic and Andy Murray have in common? They're serving very well. We'll take a look at that. What does Roger Federer not have in common with them? He's not serving very well. His first serve stat numbers are down. We'll take a look at Murray, Djokovic, and Federer serving numbers and talk about what the difference is. Also, we've got some cool clips for you. A lot of talk. Nick Kyrgios has been saying that these courts are even slower. Another Aussie, Jordan Thompson, who I had losing in the first round. One of my rare incorrect picks for first round. I think out of the 64 first round matches on the men's side at Wimbledon this year, I think I picked like 45 of them right or something like that. It was outstanding picks here at Coffee Break Tennis. Anyways, Tomo also says that the courts are too slow. They're frustrating him. They are so slow. So how slow are they? We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the bounce. I'll give you a hint, though. It's the same as 2019. I just told you the answer, but we'll talk about what the players are talking about. What else? Roger Federer, take a listen for yourself, has never heard this English idiom.
And Roger, the final thing is it true what they say about absence making the heart grow fonder, being back here?
Sorry, I didn't understand it. I heard something absence, and then, I don't know, my mind went blank.
Is it true what they say about absence making the heart grow fonder and being back on centre court?
I don't understand that saying. My English is not good enough.
Fair enough.
I was learning German on my favorite app, Duolingo. I learn a few languages on there. That's why I know so much German. I've been doing it off and on for the last like 4 or 5 years. One of the lessons I learned on there was about idioms, and I quickly realized that German idioms are completely different than English ones. They make no sense even if you have an exact translation. So I'll show you some examples of that. I think that is why, even though Roger Federer said his English isn't that good, I think his English could be outstanding, and he still wouldn't know the expression absence makes the heart grow fonder. We'll look at that. And of course, I asked everyone to comment last time if they thought Federer could beat Djokovic here. I will read a bunch of those comments. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. All right, so let's get going in the show. First off, take a look at this. I want you to see, this is what makes Wimbledon special. Let's talk about, before anything else, we'll talk about how is Wimbledon playing? Why is Wimbledon different? Why are they slipping and falling? We'll get into a little bit of that as well. But first, let's just start with this. Take a look. This is Grigor Dimitrov on the practice court with Serena Williams before she got hurt, obviously. And look how low the ball is staying. Zoom into that thing. Look how low the slice backhand stays on the grass. This is what makes grass unique. It used to be very fast. That was also unique. Now it is very slow. That is not so unique on the Tennis World Tour. But staying this low on the bounce, quite unique. That's what makes Wimbledon stand out. That and all, you know, how awesome it is. How you know, there's no advertising on any of the stuff around the court, like Djokovic pointed out. Just, you know, the history at Wimbledon, that obviously makes it unique too. But as far as unique playing surface, the grass is unique because of this low bounce. So let's talk about what are some of the players saying. Nick Kyrgios, he said, guys, for you watching at home, it should be fast in here. It's turf. It should be fast. That's grass court tennis. They've made it slow. This isn't grass anymore. This is slow. It's a joke. Stop cutting it so effing short. That's what Nick Kyrgios had to say about the grass. And moving on to another Aussie, Jordan Thompson. What's he saying about the grass? This is from thewest.com in Australia. Tomo fumes over so slow Wimbledon courts. Jordan Thompson, fresh from earning one of the biggest wins of his career at Wimbledon, has slammed the, quote, ridiculously slow courts at the All England Club this year. At the end of the penultimate set of his 5-set triumph over... Did we really have to include penultimate? You could have just said at the end of his 5th set match, or during the 5th set of his 5-set triumph over Rise. Did we have to include the word penultimate? That's the sign of an amateur writer right there. At the end of the penultimate set of his 5-set triumph over rising Norwegian star Gasquet. Play it for a few seconds. I know people like that song, and you're not going to hear it again because Casper Ruud is out. He's a loser. I mean, he lost. Maybe he's a loser on grass. I thought he would win. That's really what's going on here. I'm angry that he marred my incredible record. I was getting very upset at the pace of the court. Honestly, says Jordan Thompson, we were playing on grass courts that are ridiculously slow. I don't know what's changed. I feel it's getting slower and slower every single year here. A 5-set match at Wimbledon, when 3 of the sets are 6-2. A match like that shouldn't be over 4 hours long. That shows you how slow the courts are and how long the rallies are. It should be 30 to 40 minutes a set. Trust me, I like watching tennis, continues Jordan Thompson. Go back and watch matches on YouTube. I don't think you'll see the same pace of courts that you do now. Talking about, look at any past match from Wimbledon, especially the further you go back, the faster it'll be. They note here that Alexei Popyrin, who lost to Nishikori, as predicted on this show, also felt the courts were remarkably slow in his straight sets loss on Mitvo Wednesday, today. Now, I can just go ahead and tell you, they have data from Hawkeye on ESPN. They were saying, I think James Blake was saying on day 2, after this, tomorrow, we'll have 2 full days of data for Hawkeye, and then that's how much they need. They need 2 full days of play to actually compare, you know, to have a large enough sample to tell you how the numbers compare, the speed of the court, the height of the bounce. They didn't talk about that today, but they did talk about the speed. They were, when they went to Kyrgios resuming his match, that was one of my incorrect picks, but I did write throughout my whole draw, Humbert or Kyrgios, because you got to give Kyrgios a shot there. It was a really tough pick. Having not seen Kyrgios at all and seeing how good Humbert looked on grass, that was why I ultimately went with that pick. But when they came back at 3-all to finish their match today, the commentators said, okay, so Kyrgios was saying how slow it was yesterday during his match. They're back here today to finish the match. We've now had a chance to look at the data that James Blake told us about we were going to get on today, and it says it's playing exactly the same as 2019 up to this point, just as slow. Now, the big difference is that there's been a lot of rain going into Wimbledon. Normally here at Coffee Break Tennis, we'll look at the weather, maybe a couple days before the tournament. We don't look weeks up. Apparently, I didn't know this, at Wimbledon, they've had some of the most rain they've ever had in history for like the last month. So several weeks, maybe over a month, I guess. Several weeks of hardcore rain that has made there's just more moisture in the courts in general. So you could say it is a little bit slipperier, but for the most part, it's kind of the same thing. And that's where we go next. DailyMail.com. What a place. Wimbledon's head groundsman insists. Now, this is Wimbledon's head groundsman. But I don't know, is he lying? Of course he's not going to say, oh, yeah, we really effed it up this year. The courts are awful. They're dangerous. It should be, I should go to jail for making a dangerous court and hurting Serena. Chris McKendry, you better believe it. She'd put the Wimbledon grounds. She would have Mr. Wimbledon lock him up and throw away the key if she was in control of this thing. Beware of her. Wimbledon moved to reassure players on Wednesday that its first week courts are perfectly playable on another day of tumbles and stumbles. They just wrote tumbles, but I think I'm editorializing here. They should have put tumbles and stumbles. It has a nice rhyme to it. Another day of tumbles at the All England Club. Thankfully, no repetition of the injuries that put Serena Williams and Adrian Mannarino out of the tournament. Although even athlete supremo Novak Djokovic struggled once again to stay on his feet. Yeah, Djokovic slipping and sliding all over the place. He even said himself, yeah, I'm falling over more than I would like, but I'm not worried about getting injured. Djokovic, as his wife said, what's life like at home with Novak Djokovic? That's easy. He's down on the floor stretching all of the time. When you stretch that much, you're like Gumby. It's pretty hard to get hurt, even in these kind of slippery conditions. I mean, it's amazing. Medvedev has been doing some of the same kind of stuff, just how aggressive they're going into slides on the grass. Those guys are freaking fearless. You won't see Federer doing that. The event on Wednesday sent this communication to the Men's and Women's Players Associations, setting out their position on court surfaces. Headed by head groundsman Neil Stubley, answered questions about the effect of the roof and the fundamental one about whether or not it is safe to play. Let's get down to the bottom of it. Is it safe? Absolutely, he replied. Because it's a natural surface, there's always the risk of slipping. I think because we're not getting the wicking effect from the air movement from the wind in the first few days, it's just take a little bit longer for the process to happen. We always go into the championships with a percentage of moisture that sits within the plant and soil for the courts to last for the whole duration. Normally what would happen as the first few days pan out, the moisture starts to be drawn out and the leaf will naturally start to harden up. Despite his slips, Novak Djokovic was not too alarmed. I didn't have Serena and Mannarino's retirement in my head, even though very sad to see. I definitely have very close contact with grass in first match, also in second one. Few falls, maybe more than I'd like. I am still adjusting the movements, says Novak Djokovic. Bianca Andreescu, she said, I actually slipped about 6 times as the courts are pretty wet. I felt the ankle for a few points, but then it went away. I don't think the court impacted me, but it didn't impact my game, but it's super slippery. Super slippy out there. Preparation of the surfaces is a rare intersection between Wimbledon being an elite private club and the host of a major international championship. This is where they go on to tell you that they have some elderly members playing, like 3.5 doubles for one match, maybe just one set, I'm not sure. That's all they do on center court before play. They say, the ground staff believe this social warm-up is still enough to break the courts in. It is kind of interesting. Like, let's get some really old people out there. They'll do the first initial slip and fall test, and hopefully they don't break their hips. That is kind of funny, but they're saying, like, there needs... here it is. There is reason given for the where is it? The question might be raised as to whether this is sufficient to ready those courts for the best players in the world. So they're saying, like, that's irresponsible not to do more testing of the grass. I'm with Djokovic. Like, it's virgin grass. That's what makes it cool, playing first on it. And as Federer said, it's been this way forever. Like, everyone has to adapt to this. I don't know why the media is blowing this up like something crazy happened at Wimbledon. It's making me crazy. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. The likes of Tim Hinman and Boris Becker were quick to point out on Wednesday that having to get used to virgin grass courts is nothing new. Wimbledon's head groundsman reassured players that the courts are perfectly playable. Then they go on to say in 2017, we had something similar, the courts being heavily criticized. 2013, the most controversial of recent times, Wozniacki, Azarenka both had ankle injuries, had to pull out of the tournament, and Maria Sharapova said the courts were dangerous. Final quote here. Finally, Tim Hinman says, in his 13 years as an administrator, an elite club committee member, in the 13 years, the preparation of the courts has been absolutely identical. The one thing that's different this year is the weather in the lead up to the tournament. As mentioned before, it's rained a lot. Maybe that makes it a little more dangerous, but it's grass. The one time I played on grass and it wasn't wet at all, I slipped and fell. I only got to hit for like 15 minutes on it. I was, just trying to get as much of it as I could because we were on a time crunch. Me and Peter Freeman were doing a clinic in the Bahamas where they happen to have a grass court. Probably totally different than Wimbledon. Different type of grass they use. It's baked out in the Bahamas. It's different type of weather. But I remember, the first time I hit a serve, I moved. My first move after landing to try to recover back and hit the next ball, I slipped and fell on the ground. It's just very different. That's why I always give the young guys less of a chance because you got to get used to it. It hurt me to say Jannik Sinner's going to lose first round, but when I saw he had Fucsovic, even though Marty Fucsovic, he doesn't have a lot of winning experience at Wimbledon. He has a lot of like losing early in qualifiers kind of experience. He hasn't won a lot on grass in general his entire career, but he'd been there like 6 times. So I knew, okay, well, he knows the deal here. And soon as Sinner slips and fall, which he did as well, soon as Sinner, whose movement is such a big part of his game, starts slipping and falling and questioning his own movement, he's going to be in big trouble against someone like Fucsovic, who's good anywhere and is especially going to have an advantage, having been there before, knowing what to expect with the movement. There's another reason why you should always give Federer a shot at this. You would have said the same for Serena. Part of me wonders if something was going on with Serena's knee before this happened, because the first time she went down, it didn't look like it was like as much from the slip as it was just maybe some instability in the knee. But I don't know. I'm not on her team. I'm not a doctor. Anyways, moving on from that, we talked about the courts. They're very slow still, but they're bouncing very low. And when they're slippery in the early rounds, advantage to Roger Federer because he's been there before and he knows how careful he needs to be. And he knows how many rounds in he can start being a little bit more aggressive with his footwork. All right, let's move on to the serving numbers from Andy Murray, Novak Djokovic, and then what happened with the Federer stats. And then we'll get into some comments and stuff like that. Also, we have Nick Kyrgios defending Benoit Paire. Maybe I'll go. I don't want to go through the draw because it takes so long, but maybe we'll go through it briefly, at least to brag about my my record of correct picks. At the very least, we'll do that. At the very least. Okay, so I'll put this on the screen. Andy Murray serving. This is one of the reasons why Murray will have a shot, even though he hasn't played much. It's Wimbledon. It's very specialized here, and in some ways, for Federer and Murray, the courts being so slow, it's going to mostly hurt them because they have to hit the spot so well with their serve. So when they're off, they maybe won't get as many free points. Maybe some players like a Djokovic, even when you do hit the spots, are still going to make the return because Djokovic is so stretchy and flexy and good at returning serve. Maybe you run into somebody else. Mannarino's able to put a lot of balls in play. I think Kevin Anderson, for being a finalist only 3 years ago, was an easier match for Djokovic than Federer having to play Mannarino. Because if you think about Mannarino, he's got something in common with Djokovic. He can go without hitting any unforced errors. Djokovic was so good today, he only had about, I think, 2 unforced errors in the match. And Wimbledon, the way they count unforced errors is different than on other surfaces because they say, like, even a shot that appears not to be too special, you'll say, well, that combined with the trickiness of the surface made Djokovic miss. It wasn't unforced error. So They're a little nicer with how they score unforced errors. It's harder to hit an unforced error at Wimbledon than other places. So I always kind of found that kind of interesting. But I guess it makes sense. You don't have to do as much with the ball to get someone to feel unsure of their movement and not feel comfortable getting to a ball and then end up missing it. Maybe it's kind of related to that, you could say. Anyways, Murray serve stats, 72% are in that GOAT zone, that outer limits of the box, right? You see, I can't even remember what color it was. I guess it's green, but you'll see like they are yellow maybe. They do like the closest parts to the line around the box. Those are the corners. Those are deep, close to the back of the line if you go at the body, right? When you hit serves there, it's really difficult to get it back, and that's how you see in the ad court, 72% of the time he's hitting those spots. In the deuce, 78% of the time. 69% of those serves in total are not coming back. So he's averaging 75% hitting the GOAT spots on both sides, and almost 75, just a little under at 69%. They're not coming back into play at all. Whether it's an ace or you get your racket on it and you don't get it over the net and in between the lines, they are not coming back. Those are the kind of easy points someone like Andy Murray or Roger Federer for that as well, for that matter. That's what they need to win. Wimbledon is a great place, even when it is this slow, for them to do that. And mainly because especially with a slice serve, the bounce is so low. It really helps you with that wide serve. Djokovic, take a look at this. This is from round one. Both of these are actually, but they're carrying on doing it in round two as well. I don't have those numbers for you, but I'm sure they're close enough. Djokovic, 85% in the ad, hitting those magic spots. 67 in the deuce. That's interesting. Maybe that would be something you would look at before you go into a match with Djokovic and know, like, maybe be ready to take your chances a little more in the deuce court. Maybe it's just a one-match fluke. I don't know. 84% win on first serve is the result of that. They don't tell you the unreturned percentage in that stat, but safe to say it's a pretty good one if he's winning 84%. Now, normally, I'm really worried, about anyone being able to beat Djokovic. If that is my goal. As a Federer fan, my goal is to see Federer beat him. Other than that, I kind of like Djokovic. I'm happy to see Djokovic win. I think he's a good guy, despite what some people might say. So I'm happy to see all that, but the way Djokovic is serving, I don't think Roger Federer will have a great chance to beat him, especially with the way Federer is serving. So here was a comment. Take a look at Ken Meisen. He said, "What's going on with the serve? 50% win on first serve seems pretty low." It is. My answer to him on the Twitters was, regardless of whether or not Roger's getting a good first serve in or not, he's missing so many freaking forehands that all of his numbers are going down. So that was one factor. Federer's forehand abandoned him. It was 2018 all over again. You'll remember Federer had a hand injury or something like that the year at Wimbledon, the year he lost to Kevin Anderson. And he didn't reveal it. Federer doesn't like to talk about injuries until much later. I think it was later in like Shanghai that he said he was just now finding the feeling again in his forehand because he had done something to hurt his hand going back to Wimbledon. He didn't want to broadcast that there was a weakness with him to his enemies on the tour. So when he was starting to feel better, that's when he revealed it. Well, it kind of reminded me of those matches between, Shanghai, late fall 2018 and Wimbledon 2018. Federer's forehand would just out of nowhere just be gone. He hit great forehands. You think, oh, it's back. That was a sick forehand. Surely if you hit it that good, you're not going to start missing them, right? Well, he kept missing them, and honestly, he looked so good in the fourth set that I thought, okay, he's going to roll through the fifth. But in the back of my mind, I was pretty worried, being a big Fed fan, as you can see from this statue of a human head over here, modeling a Roger Federer RF hat. An original, by the way, back when it said Federer here in this spot before it was a Uniqlo or a knockoff that you get on Amazon or something. Anyways, being a big Federer fan, I'm pretty worried with a lot of what I see there, and seeing the forehand completely abandon him, no matter how good he hit it before. It is frightening, but I have faith that he'll be able to find it. So let's look at these numbers and keep that in mind. A lot of the numbers are hurt just because, you can hit a great first serve and have the easiest ball in the world, and then your forehand abandons you. That's not a problem with the serve. But overall, still, 15 aces, 3 double faults. Okay, that looks pretty good. You look at that and you think, oh, normal Federer stuff. First serve in, 60%, normal. Federer's career average, I think, is 60 or 61%. First serve win percentage, 73. That's low for Roger Federer. I don't know if that's entirely from the forehand. His first serve of the match, I remember, was a serve down the tee. Manarino's a lefty. Instead of hitting the tee, instead of hitting that spot, like put it on the screen again, instead of being in that GOAT zone, that they're targeting there. You see on the Murray serve, it came over, right? It came over out of that zone, and Mannarino just had to turn his hips and crank a forehand. I think Roger ended up going down love 40 in that first game, and he didn't make another first serve until the last point of the game. I think that one was good. So first serve in 60%. Roger doesn't win 73 normally. Look at Mannarino at 76. That's a bad sign. Federer should have a higher win on first serve percentage than Mannarino. Now, good news for Federer fans, and I'm telling you, a lot of that's the forehand. A lot of that is also he was missing spots. At least it's better than in Halle. Second serve win, 61%. That is a Federer number. I think that's his career average. He tends to win matches when he hits that. I thought the second serve was outstanding. Really good. Look at Mannarino's 43%. So obviously he's doing well there. At the net, Roger was outstanding. 29 out of 35, 83%. 53 winners over 45 unforced errors. That's a very high unforced error count. Before the fourth set magic and Mannarino getting hurt, take some of those winners away, because some of those winners were Mannarino couldn't move to the ball at all. Take some of those away, and before the good play in the fourth set, the unforced errors were much higher than the winners. I think it was something more like 45 unforced and 39 winners or something like that, I want to say. So that's what happened in that match. I think the team's happy to get out of there. I'm sure they're going to feel like Roger's going to be able to get the first serve clicking. Take a look at this. This is somebody filming in the stadium. This was that one really nice backhand up the line return from Mannarino. Federer hits this slider out wide, comes into the net. He makes the amazing stab save in the corner. Just look at the movement, rolling it back again. Look at the movement to get to that corner, then get back into balance and move in and finish with the swinging volley at the net. The biggest thing was always, if Federer is going to, not be able to win Wimbledon anymore, it's going to be because he's too old and the movement is gone. The movement still looks great. So I still give Federer a shot. Some of the comments when I asked people if they thought Federer could win are basically saying what I'm thinking a little bit already, was starting to think when I saw how it went in Halle. This might be, project 2022 for Roger Federer. If he can stay in shape, not get hurt again, and play a more normal schedule and actually find the confidence in his shots and the confidence to go for his forehand, to go for his spots all the time with the first serve, and actually be able to execute and hit those spots and not have his forehand fall apart on him, then I think he'll have a good shot to win Wimbledon, maybe even the Australian Open where it plays really fast and the low bounce there as well. So we'll see tomorrow how Roger does. I'm going to give him a shot to win still. I'm definitely still giving him a shot to go to the final, but I'm not sold on him being able to beat Djokovic. We'll keep you posted on how that goes. All right, moving on. Moving on. I forgot. There was one Twitter comment. I wanted to put this up. This was a great point, I thought. L-Y-Doker, L-Y-D-O-K-E-R at the Twitter. He said, Mannarino is serving well. However, Fed should be making more returns. Lack of matches mean he has not seen as much variety. Mary Jo Fernandez also made another point saying Wimbledon is not the greatest place in the world to come back because at Wimbledon, like every shot, there's just more pressure. It's easier to fall behind in the point at Wimbledon, right? The margins seem almost thinner at Wimbledon, and a lot of that is because of the extremely low bounce of the ball and the fact that it's not a hard court. You can't just grip the ground with your foot and push as hard as you can and run all over, hit a ton of balls to get into rhythm. Yeah, the courts are playing slow, so there are longer rallies, but still, it's easier to fall behind and not be able to control the point anymore at Wimbledon. So when you do screw up a little bit, I think it's easier to let nerves and stuff get into your head if you're in a position like Roger Federer. I thought that was a good point. And also this point here that lack of matches means, according to L.Y. Doker, lack of matches means he's not seen as much variety. You don't practice, not everyone plays like Mannarino. Mannarino's kind of rare. Like I said, he has something in common with Djokovic. He can go a whole match with only 4 or 5 unforced errors. So who has Federer been practicing with? He hasn't played very much. So he hasn't played a guy like Mannarino, who's also a lefty on top of that. So that is a good point. That's something that comes along with this not playing at all for freaking a year and a half. Okay, now let's move on from Roger Federer. Got a lot of comments. Let's read Kyrgios here for a second. How long are we going? All right, we'll do a little bit more. I wanted to go through the draw too. Kyrgios said that he defends Benoit Paire after the Frenchman slams life in the bubble. Just a reminder, these guys are I know in a lot of places, especially here in the U.S., a lot of people are vaccinated and COVID seems to be over with. But for athletes, like, they have to go above and beyond. You know, the fans aren't being subjected to the kind of COVID restrictions that the athletes are having to go through. The bubble life is still in effect for them. Even Roger Federer, who normally rents a big house for his whole family, he's there with a very small team. The family's not there, and he's staying in a hotel in the COVID bubble at Wimbledon. So it's different for all the players, and it's not the easiest thing. One fan even shouted during Benoit Pair's match, "You're wasting everybody's time." Pair was basically tanking, losing the third set 6-0. But he says life in the COVID-secure bubble makes him lack motivation. "The bubble is not for me," said Benoit Paire. "I try my best when I'm in the bubble, but for me, playing tennis like this is impossible. I'll try my best. It's still the same. It's the bubble. For me, mentally, it's very tough." Speaking after his own win over Ugo Humbert, Kyrgios was asked about life in the bubble and what he thought about Benoit Paire. He said, "That's why I didn't play most of the year. I made the decision that I know myself and I don't BS myself. I know that, Nick, are you going to be in a good mental space over this year to go week in, week out in the bubble environment?" I said, "No. That's why I didn't play for very long. Obviously, I didn't think playing during COVID was a smart thing. But this week, I brought my girlfriend, I brought my best friend, and wanted to bring two people that I trust, and I was very comfortable around. That made me feel good. Take it week by week. But yeah, look, anyone that's in the bubble, I commend them for their effort." This is the good part. "It's not easy. It's not easy to disconnect tennis. Usually, you can go back to your house in the Wimbledon Village. You just go for a walk, you disconnect from whatever happened in the match. You can clear your mind." You know, Roger might have wanted to clear his mind after that crazy match with Manarino. "To have good results week in and week out in the bubble, you got to be very resilient," says Kyrgios. "And I give my props, mate. I'll give props to these guys, mate. They love it. They love the sport. It's not easy. It's not easy at all, mate. Yesterday, I was here till like 12 p.m., warmed up. I was here all day, finished, got back to my hotel at 1 a.m. in the bubble. I woke up, got back here. It's not easy, mate. It's not easy at all." Yeah, like Benoit, he's his own man too. He makes his own decisions. Like he said, he doesn't owe them anything. He plays for himself. That's what he does. It's up to him. It's all good, mate. It's all good. I think Kyrgios is right. I think this is not an easy way to play. And the guys who are able to stay hyper-focused and keep getting wins through all of this, big credit to them. All right, let's go through the draw really fast. Basically, in the top half, put it on the screen. I got 41 out of 64 total correct, 64%. Being from the GoldenEye 007 Nintendo 64 generation. That is a lucky number for me, 64, so I'll take that. In the top half, I was 22 out of 32. That's 69%. That's pretty darn good. And there was a comment saying that they disagreed with 70% of my picks. Well, I'm 69% correct, so you're mostly wrong, sir, whoever that was. Let's see. Djokovic came through as predicted. Comes through Kevin Anderson, who came through as predicted. Kudla, I told you, he's good on grass. That's like his best winning percentage is at Wimbledon, basically. That's where he makes his money. I believe one of his good runs ended one year with Novak Djokovic, and I think that will definitely happen again. I think that will hold. Christian Garin did come through. Lots of rain, lots of delays, having to play on multiple days. I think, did Monfils have to play on 3 different days to get his match in? Did I hear that right? Something like that. Disadvantage there. It's unfortunate. This is how it's always been at Wimbledon, though, and only the lucky players that get to play on the 2 main courts with the roof are exempt from this now. There used to be a lot of this going back. I'm trying to remember. I want to say 2007. You know, some people thought that Nadal would have been able to beat Roger that year, if I'm remembering this right, and that was because that was a year where there was so much rain, and it just happened. There was no roof in 2007. Just happened to work out that Federer would play when there wasn't rain and Nadal would play when there was rain. So his matches, you know, he was playing multiple times every day, having to rain a little here, stop a day, come back. He was always having to do like a backlog of matches, doing makeup matches. So a lot of people felt like that was kind of unfair, unlucky, because you can't control the weather, obviously. Unlucky for Nadal, and that if he had been fresher, not having to play as much, spread out as often as he had, he would have beat Federer a year earlier instead of in 2008. So nothing new to have all this rain disrupting play, and nothing new to have people slipping and falling at the tournament. That is for sure. Shorty D, I'm very impressed with. I think I have him coming through Fucsovics. I do. We'll see. That's going to be a close one, but you know, Shorty D, he's just so awesome. The guy is amazing. Honestly, if he was a little bit taller, you feel like who knows? Maybe he would have won a slam. The guy is just extremely talented and a thrill and a joy to watch. This section for Djokovic is so easy, especially considering it's kind of like 2007, what I was saying. Like, all these guys are having to go through hell getting their matches done. And by the time they get to that fourth round, after Djokovic beats the Kudla, because they're not even done yet. We don't even see who's in that third round yet. It's crazy. Moving down, Fognini. How typical of Fognini to win a match pretty straightforward over Laszlo Djere and to throw a bagel in the middle, just give up a bagel. He loses 6-0 in the third set, but wins 6-4 in the fourth. Rublev looking really good. Shorty D or Rublev, maybe Fucsovics. Well, now I'm saying all of them. Fognini. I mean, like, those guys are all good. You could see any one of them giving Djokovic a tough match. Do any of them beat Djokovic? I don't think so. Maybe Rublev. Maybe Shorty D. Rublev is your best bet if you're hoping to see Djokovic go down in that section. The quarter below, Tiafoe, got to give him a lot of credit. I thought Tsitsipas would get past Tiafoe and then lose to the Popsicle. Instead, Tiafoe beats both Popsicle and Tsitsipas. No surprise, though, to see Tsitsipas go down, especially how good Tiafoe's playing. Tsitsipas' slice is not very good. You need it at Wimbledon with the low bounce, especially now that the court is so slow. Like, that is one thing that he could maybe have. That and the ability to go to net. But the slice is not very good. He's got the net. The return to serve is the biggest thing for me. Tiafoe's serving great. Tiafoe's slice backhand is pretty good. Definitely better than Tsitsipas's. Steph Tsitsipas just won't get as many returns back in play as anyone else because he doesn't have the Roger Federer style. And everyone does it. Even Djokovic will do it. The block return. Sometimes you just got to block it back to get started on the point. Tsitsipas is trying to crank all of these things. Yeah, he hit a couple pretty sweet swinging one-handed backhand return of serve winners. But how many times did he just not get into a point at all? Kachanov is another big surprise. It's really difficult to get a low ball with that grip that he has. I guess he's just moving outstanding. I've only seen him play a little bit, but he gets Tiafoe up next. Tough one to pick. I'll probably go with Tiafoe at this point, though, because I'm just waiting for someone to take advantage of Kachanov, having that grip on his forehand. Dirty Dan Evans, as predicted, has been outstanding. Looks amazing. Dusan Lajovic barely beat Gilles Simon, one of my few where I was wrong. 5 sets there. Korda looks pretty good here. He had a slip and fall that looked like maybe he could have got hurt. We'll see how he's doing in the next round. I have Dirty Dan winning, and I'm still feeling that one. Shapo gets a walkover from Andahar. Another one where I was wrong. I thought Kohlschreiber's experience. It's a good sign for Shapo, Shapo should be beating him. I didn't think he would yet, but you know what? Maybe he's figuring out grass. He beats Kohlschreiber 6-4 in the fifth, gets a walkover, gets Andy Murray next. Big opportunity for Shapo. That's a hard one to pick. The crowd will be so pro-Murray. Shapo can fall apart, but I'm going to go with Shapo beating Andy Murray. We hope to God for his career that he can do it. I mean, at the same time, Murray has been serving very well, right? He had the ultimate embarrassing in his first match when he was up on Basilashvili. He's up 5-0 in the third set. 2 sets to love. Third set, he's up 5-0, and then he loses 7 in a row. It's the ultra bagel. It's the worst thing. It's worse than a bagel. It's one game worse. Plus, what makes it even worse than that is you were up 5-0. You almost had a bagel, and then you get something like a bagel plus 1 game, which is worse than a bagel. So Murray threw that one in. Probably not hitting the spots as well. I don't have the data on that, but I'm sure the wasn't hitting the spots as well on the serve. Maybe some nerves as well. Oscar the Otter has been so impressive. First time I saw him was 2019 against Federer. I did some scouting on him, looked at his game. The guy's got a good game. I would hope that he has a chance to move into the top 100 sometime soon. Maybe making second round at Wimbledon will help a little bit with that. Andy Murray comes through Oscar the Otter, and I think will probably lose to Shapo after everything he had to go through in that match. Not to mention all that extra time he had to play with Basilashvili. But, man, that's a really tough one to pick because Murray's kind of got destiny on his side and the crowd and everything. If he can serve outstanding, he can beat the Shapo. But the Shapo serve is one of the best when it's working. Koepfer, another person I missed on. He's been impressive, and he'll get what looks like a Roberto Bautista Agut, but that match hasn't finished yet, but he's leading against Kecmanovic. I still like Roberto Bautista Agut to go far here, just because you can watch it. When you watch him and Kecmanovic play, the Roberto Bautista Agut ball just stays so much lower. Go through the bottom, Berrettini. John Isner is lost. That was a big miss. It's a shock to me. I heard some of the ESPN commentators saying they were shocked after how well he served at the French Open. For Isner to go down, that means Berrettini's going to be there waiting for Roger Federer if Federer can keep winning. I'm optimistic, but of course I'm worried as a Federer fan. So Berrettini, he'll get this guy Dan Zanderschulp from Das Nederland. And Bedene came through there. It was another one of my misses. Nishioka, my very big miss. Berrettini, clear sailing here. He'll come through those guys. Karatsev, not enough experience on the grass. No experience at Wimbledon. Shardy gets him. Ivashka came through. I think Shardy takes out Ivashka still. Thompson, a little bit of surprise. I think Nishikori takes him out. Felix was looking pretty good. He'll get Emer up next. Tsonga was so close. It was classic Tsonga. Some of the banging on the forehand was looking awesome. Diving through the air to hit the volley at the net. Some classic Tsonga. I hope he doesn't retire. I hope he sticks around. He almost did it. I like Felix to beat Emer. Kyrgios comes through Humbert. Like I put in my draw, you can clearly see. Put that one on the screen. Kyrgios or Humbert. It's Humbert or Kyrgios, since I thought Humbert would win. Humbert or Kyrgios. And remember, I did say in the draw show, Humbert loses to Isner. Kyrgios beats Isner. I hope we get Kyrgios and Zverev, and then I hope we get the winner of that against Berrettini. I think it's highly likely. Nishikori could do it. I'll take that back. Nishikori would definitely have a shot at beating Berrettini for sure, but that would have to happen to stop that. Stevie Johnson really delivered on the pick. I said he looks good. I think Denis Novak likes grass, but Stevie Johnson, he likes it as well. Has even more wins and experience on the grass than him, than his Austrian friend of Dominic Thiem, Denis Novak. Johnson comes through at 6-3, kind of crushes him. He'll get Fritzy Boy next. Fritz, he won. I didn't think he would with the knee injury. A lot of people were shocked that he played. His knee's all strapped up. He looks like a human robot. Obviously, he should beat Stevie Johnson normally, but I don't know. With coming off a knee injury, with the slipping and sliding that happens at Wimbledon, Fritz did go down in his win. I want to say Stevie Johnson, but who knows? Fritz clearly is feeling good enough to play with what just happened with a knee surgery. Pretty crazy. The Sandman came through. Sasha Zverev, I think, will beat him, but you never know. Sandgren will give him a shot. That's a match worth watching. Zverev needs to take care of serve. Then it'll feel pretty impossible for Sandgren. If Zverev is hitting a bunch of double faults and his forehand goes off and he starts drifting back deep into the court, Sandman will have a shot. Federer versus Gasquet, not easy. Gasquet likes the grass. So does Manarino. Federer's never lost to Gasquet. I think Federer wins, but who knows? I'm like everyone else, just watching to see what happens with Roger Federer. A lot of highlight shots. He had a lot of incredible shots. Looks like normal Federer stuff, but those unforced errors, I don't care how great of a shot you hit before that. If you hit 3 unforced errors after one great shot, you usually lose. So we'll see what happens with that. Cam Norrie has been impressive. I think he dropped the first set today and then wins the next 3. He'll play the Bolt. I think he comes through. Another kind of tricky opponent for Federer. Norrie's been one of the hottest players of the year. Federer said Manarino's got that shovel backhand that no one likes to deal with. Well, Cam Norrie, he's got the same exact thing. Shovel backhand. Sonego came through easy. Gets Galan. I like Sonego to keep going. Ducky surprised me, and he wins. Sam Querrey will get him. Sam Querrey is very good at Wimbledon. So is John Isner, too, but I don't think Ducky is taking out Querrey. Yoshihito Nishioka, that guy was incredible to take John Isner out. Some of the inspired play. That guy was flying on the court. He wasn't too worried about slipping and falling. Hurkacz beat Musetti. That's too bad, but kind of a dumb pick. Probably one of the worst picks I made because Hurkacz will have some experience on grass and Musetti will not. Marcus Giron won. I thought he would. He barely did it in 5 sets. I think Hurkacz will get him at this point. Bublik won the all-Kazakh first round. Dimitrov looks better than I thought he would. Wimbledon is a good place for him. He's got a nice, sweet slice backhand, so I'll give him a shot against Bublik, but Bublik's serve is really money. Cilic looked pretty good. Bonzi came through in 5. Cilic will keep going as predicted. Alcaraz didn't have Tommy Paul as predicted. Tommy Paul pulled out with some kind of injury, I guess, in practice. Not much information out there on that. Medvedev is figuring it out as predicted. He beats Jan-Lennard Struff. I'm really liking Medvedev. I've even heard some people say that that Medvedev maybe would have a shot to beat Djokovic here and that maybe he would be the only one. He does play very similar to Djokovic. His backhand is one of the lowest bouncing backhands in the world, not slicing, just his normal two-handed backhand. Plus, it's extremely consistent. Medvedev almost never misses it. That is a dangerous shot on the grass here where it bounces so low. Okay, we're running out of time. Do not want to be editing video endlessly into the wee hours of the early morn. So we'll do the language lesson next time. I promise we'll do it in the next video. And let's go through some comments. I asked people, do you actually believe Federer can do it? You know, even if he could find a way, get his form back, make it to the final, could he actually beat Djokovic here at Wimbledon? Because it looks like Djokovic is definitely going to be in the final. Djokovic looks unstoppable. The day is nigh. All good players are in Fed's draw only. Medvedev, Berrettini, Zverev, all of them. It is what it is. No way Fed can get past all those players. Keith Ord said, once Roger wins his second match, which would be tomorrow, hopefully, against Gasquet, he will go all the way against Gasquet and all the way. It will be like getting behind the wheel for him. Once he remembers his game, he will go for it. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. A lot of people are thinking that. Will he get past the second round? Will he actually get behind the wheel? I think he will. I don't know if he'll get back behind it at the level to beat Djokovic still. Angels Mobile says, with all the respect, Roger will not pass 2 rounds. Well, that goes with the last comment. Keith Ord says he needs to win a second round to find it. And Engels Mobile says he will not find it. He will not pass 2 rounds. He will not collect $200 or pass go. I'm writing that June 6th. See you then. Okay. Tad Fickus the Cactus says, is Tommy Paul the brother of those celebrity boxing bros? I think their names are like Logan Paul and Jimmy Paul or something like that. He does look like them. Pictures on screen, please. He does kind of look like them. Maybe he's a cousin. Tad Fickus the Cactus. Mar K says, maybe it's Mark and they put a space in on accident. Mark or Mar space K says, Matt, I think there is more chance you see Novak get upset before the final than you actually see than for seeing RF to come to the final. So he says there's a higher probability that someone beats Djokovic early, which is like 0% chance. He's saying there's a higher probability there. Let's say it's a 5% chance. Saying that's a higher percent than what Federer has for making the final. So we'll put Federer at 1% chance, Djokovic being upset at 5% chance, and Federer in the final at 1. There's no way RF comes to the final. He has a good chance for Wimbledon next year when he gets more matches in his legs, comes into competition mode. He's Federer, but this year he just didn't play enough to win a Grand Slam. That is my honest opinion, Mark. Thank you for the honest opinion. We salute you with a Topo Chico with hint of lime. I think it's a good opinion, and part of me is starting to feel the same way. It's a project Wimbledon 2022 for the Federer camp. That could be on the cards, but if anyone's going to find it on the grass of all places and put it all together, it's Roger Federer. Roxana Mihal says, I don't think Roger can defeat Nole. Not because Roger won't be at his best, but because Djokovic is on a mission. He wants it bad. He wants to be at 20 and have a shot at the Golden Slam. This year's different from 2016. When Nole was chasing Roland Garros for so long back then, when he finally got it, it took a lot of wind out of his sails. And, we heard this from Dominic Thiem, if you think about it. He wins the U.S. Open, and then after that, finding motivation again, it's kind of weird. Your whole life, you're working every day for this thing, and then you get there, right? They say, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Well, that kind of applies here. It's different this time, I think, because of the way he got Roland Garros this year and because he already knows what it's like. It made him stronger and more determined, so unless something very bad happens to Nole, I don't think Roger can defeat him. Yeah, pretty solid stuff there. The only thing I'll say that's a little different is the way he beat Nadal. That made this French Open more special, to beat Nadal playing well, that people favored it over him and everyone else, and then to go on and finish in the final and hold up the trophy on top of that. Lily Leone said, you heard it here first. Neither Federer or Djokovic will win Wimbledon this year. Federer is way off his prime, doesn't have enough gas. Djokovic will lose to a next-gen player other than Tsitsipas, who still doesn't look comfortable on grass. Well, you got that right. He's not good on grass. Hit the music. We're going to go fast. Bart Mia says, my bookmaker has Fed at 12-1 for the title. Easy money, baby. Millennium 13 Constantine says, I can't agree on 70% of your picks. That's the one. Well, sir, you are 70% incorrect. Alex Shmilyanov. Alex Shmilyanov says, we are coming to the stage when Federer and Nadal don't believe that they can beat Novak in best of 5 apart from Rafa at the Roland Garros. They are simply coming out on court as beaten men before the matches even started, which means they are both aware of the fact that they are inferior players on hard court or grass to Djokovic. And this trend has been going on for a few years now. Their best hope is someone else to beat Novak or that he gets injured. Yeah, I feel like that in some ways, except like you said, Nadal knows he can beat Djokovic there, and I think Federer still thinks he can beat Djokovic on grass, and he can beat Djokovic on a fast, hard court like he did at the World Tour Finals in 2019 when he blew Novak off of the court. I think Roger still believes, and he should. Yugoslav Namlij says, I must say, Matt, I really enjoy your shows. You give me so much laugh, and your picks are awesome, but crazy and very funny. Half of your picks first round. If you pass 60%, I will send a donation of $100 just to be interesting. I hit 69%, or no, 64 for total picks. So you must send donation of $100. Go to patreon.com/Coffee Break Tennis. All right, that's it. There's a couple other ones. They were pretty good, but the music has surely run too long now. We will return tomorrow. It will be an audio only. It will be late at night. I have a heavy teaching schedule. I had to do it tomorrow. As we get deeper into the Wimbledons, I will clear the schedule to make full time for the making of videos about the Wimbledons. Thank you for joining us here at Coffee Break Tennis at Tennis Public Broadcasting Radio. We will be back tomorrow. See ya.